What's going on, everyone? So, according to ESPN, the Lakers over-under win total for next season is set at 44 and a half. To put this in perspective, last year the Lakers won 47 games with Darvin Ham, with injuries, with everything else that goes into it. But if they were to only win, say, even 45 games, which would give you the over total, they would have missed the play-in entirely last year. The Golden State Warriors and the Sacramento Kings both finished with 46 wins. The 11th seed had 41 wins. So basically, they're saying best case scenario, the Lakers are a play-in team. Now, look, it is, as of right now, looks like the Lakers are going to run it back. Now, again, we're at the time of recording this video, we are in July. Still got several months between now and training camp. So it is very possible that something happens, some trade gets done. Outside of the DeJounte Murray trade, there really hasn't been a trade outside of the free agents that worked out sign and trade deals. But like all of the trade options that were rumored and being explored are all still there. Right? Like everyone's still on board. Everyone's still on the table. All these teams are still trying to figure out like, okay, are we getting this guy? Are we doing this? Like, how are we approaching this offseason? And once you get closer to training camp, teams want to get their rosters set. So they're kind of like, okay, fine, let's just unload this guy. Let's just work out some type of trade. Right? But I've said, and I still hold to it, like, one, the Lakers definitely need a trade. If they want to be a bona fide contender, they need a trade. But the Lakers still have a very good chance, and I do think that the Lakers are still a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. I think even if they run it back, I don't think that's the worst case scenario, right? The Lakers hopefully will be healthier. They'll have a better coach. They'll have more chemistry, right? This is a team that was this time last year looked at as a real contender, and many believed was very likely to come out of the Western Conference. And if the Lakers beat Denver, I mean, even Laker haters were like, hey, they should be probably the favorites to come out of the Western Conference and maybe even win the championship. So, again, like, this isn't a Laker team that won 37 games. Right? A lot of people act like this team was just absolute garbage last season. And, again, they won 47 games given the handcuffs that were Darvin Ham last year, given all the injury history, given just the lack of consistencies, the lack of buy-ins from the player. Like, there's just so many factors that go into how this team underperformed last year. And the Lakers were probably a top 4, maybe 5 seed at worst. Right? Because, again, Lakers won 47 games last year. If it wasn't for that losing 10 out of 13 games, the Lakers would have been one of the top seeds. If the Lakers say they just won half, just 500 in that 10 losses, that would have put them at 52 wins, which would have made them the 4 seed in the Western Conference last year. Again, this is a team that should have been the 4 seed, and they weren't because of Darvin Ham just deciding to go crazy. Right? And that is, again, given that like half the roster was in and out of the lineup all season. If the Lakers can be healthy, right, that's very key. It's very important. But you look at, like, you get back guys like Gabe Vincent, who, again, this time last season, many were very excited to see Gabe Vincent. This was a guy that was a starting point guard for the Miami Heat finals team, and a guy that was big in those moments, a guy that was supposed to replace Spencer Dinwiddie and give us some point of attack defense and knock down the occasional 3 and do all those things, right? And then Jared Vanderbilt, right? And his defensive prowess, that just the ground that he covers, the impact that he has, right? Like, these 2 guys alone would be huge. And I also think proper slotting is important, right? Like, with a new coach that understands the roster we have and understands how to properly run sets and plays and all that, I think will go a long way. But Lakers just getting healthy, I think, will make them better. Right? Like, we had a terrible defensive season, but we were missing all of our defensive pieces. Right? Like, Cam Reddish was like our best defensive player, not named Anthony Davis for like a quarter of the season, and then he got hurt. Like, imagine if we were even serviceable defensively. It would have been a completely different season. Again, this was with all the ailments. And then you add in JJ Redick. And I understand JJ Redick has not yet coached. I get that. I'm very aware of that. But he has shown that he knows how to properly draw up plays. He's a big X's and O's guy. He's fanatical when it comes to just preparation and just understanding the little nuances. Like, I think JJ Redick is going to be great. I do. And I think he's going to properly slot players in the right position. I think he's actually going to have some real play calling and running some sets. I think he's going to have an actual system on the offense side and defense side of things. I think he is going to be incredibly impactful for this Lakers team. I think just him alone, we're better. Right? There was a lot of talk, like, made a video about it. KCP talked about how the Lakers should have beaten Denver. And, Draymond Green talked about it. Like, there was a lot of talks because the Lakers were winning every one of those games. If we had JJ Redick, I am pretty confident the Lakers win that championship. Or not that championship, the Denver series, and potentially win the championship. Right? Because that series, we were winning every single game. Every game we were winning. It's one thing to lose, one game when you're up double digits or you're up 20 or whatever, right? It happens. Every team does it. It doesn't matter how good of a coach you are, you're going to have those games. It's another thing when you do it 4 out of 5 times. And that's what the Lakers did. That's lack of, yes, players didn't show up. Right? It wasn't solely on Darvin Ham. It's not just I can't put all the blame on Darvin Ham, right? Because again, he still needed the player. Like, where was Rui Hachimura in that series? Austin Reeves didn't even show up till game 4, right? Like, D'Angelo Russell was only good in like 2.5 of those games, right? Like, you look at that, the lack of role guys stepping up, and that was a big part. But I still think even with all that, if you had a head coach that really understood how to make proper adjustments and how to run proper sets and plays, I mean, JJ Redick's even kind of called out Darvin Ham and talked about how, the lack of sets that they ran. And I think JJ Redick just being an upgraded, better coach, the bar's low. Like, even people that are like, well, how do we know he's going to be better? He's never been like, he can't be much worse than Darvin Ham. Like, and that's not like, Darvin. No, I mean, he was terrible in stretches last season. And especially in that Denver series. And this is coming from a guy that I defended Darvin Ham numerous times. Right? I still do to an extent because I think a lot of people just want to put the sole blame on Darvin. Not the reason the Lakers didn't lose is just solely on. It's not like, if only we had. No, like, there were other factors to it. But I think if you change any one of those factors, given how tight the series was, I think you get a different result. So, for those that are like, you say, it's not all Darvin Ham's fault, but you say if you change Darvin Ham. No, like, I also think if D'Lo played good in all those games, it's different series. Lakers probably win. If Austin Reeves and Rui play better, like, if guys just play their part better, I think the Lakers win that series. But I also think that the head coach, if you had a better head coach, Lakers probably win that series. So I'm looking forward to all these little ins and outs. LeBron James and Anthony Davis obviously are everything, right? We go as far as they take us. But you also need your role players. You also need your key pieces. You also need these guys to step up. If D'Lo and all the others, if they don't show up and they're no-shows and they're just terrible, right? Like, I mean, LeBron James and Anthony Davis can only do so much. Basketball isn't a 2-on-5 sport. It's a 5-on-5 sport, right? So the Lakers need LeBron James and Anthony Davis to be great. They need them to be healthy, but they also need the coaching to be right. They also need the role players to step up. They also need, the chemistry back. And I just think if you add in all those factors, I think this team is bare minimum a top 4 to 5 seed in the Western Conference. Like, I do. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if they're a 3 to 4 seed, right? I think at absolute worst, again, assuming health and all that stuff, but assuming things are well in that department, I think that the Lakers are at worst 5 or 6. I think it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're top 3 to 4. The only reason I wouldn't put them top 1 or 2 is I just think compared to some of the younger teams, I think they'll be trying to push for it more. I also think LeBron James and Anthony Davis are probably going to sit 20 games each or whatever, right? Maybe 15 games, whatever many they need to, whatever the bare minimum is for them to still get accolades. I think they both kind of sit this season, because they just got out of the Olympics. So I do think that they'll kind of not push for it. And I just think that even if they are close, I don't think they'll overexert themselves to get the 1 seed. Right? I think it'll be kind of one of those things where it's like, if we get it, we get it. No big deal type thing. But I do. I think the Lakers are going to be much better next season. I think that over-under total, I think that's wrong. I'm personally going to take the over in that. But again, you never know given injuries and everything else, right? So anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Think the Lakers will be good next season? Do you think that that the total over under of basically 45, if you want the over, 44 if you want the under? Do you think that that's too low? Do you think it's just right? Do you think it's not low enough? Do you think it's not high enough? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. We enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.